I'll think about it. Good morning, and welcome to the May Resident Council meeting. On your agenda, you will need to see a change. First of all, Sandy is not here. She's out of town, so there will be no electronic agenda on the board. So you'll have to just read your agenda, and those of you in the resident group will hear what we're going to have. You need to add to your agenda under committees. The Communications Committee is not listed there, and you can add that there. We will need a motion to approve the minutes from the April 26th meeting. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Doris. She approves the minutes as written. Do I have a second? Thank you, Diane. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The minutes for the April meeting have been approved. And now we'll ask Katie for our treasurer's report.
It has been a really busy month in the Residents' Council. We've written no checks. Our balance is $1,256.47.
Are there any questions about the treasurer's report? Thank you, Katie. Usually we start with the administration report, but I don't see any of those people here. So we will start with our committee reports and come back to them when they get here. We'll start with Grace and the Activities Committee. We usually go alphabetically.
I'm privileged to introduce the members of the very hard-working Activities Committee. Will you please stand when I read your name? Dick Tucker is Secretary. Shirley Abbott. Jay Adler. Max Brawley. Joan Fenton. Frida Fraser. Pat Fry. Gail Hearn. Helen Helm, Penny Hom, Maxine Lieb, and Kathy Krechak, and Jan Nevin, who is the observer from the Residents' Council.
Thank you for your service, all of those members. Thank you, Grace.
These are the people that are your master of ceremony and greeters for the Tuesday and Friday events in Skirm. It takes 6 people a week. Connie Amon Shyrock and Emily Garba are the staff members, and Kathleen Ross fills in when Connie is gone. This chair also schedules the Saturday night bingo callers and runners. There are many other volunteers for the activities in the village. The 39th anniversary party, Feeling Groovy, went well. There will be a root beer float and movie night in June. And Thursday night event on June 13th at the Rec Center at 6:30 p.m. will be a cornhole competition, and everyone is invited to attend.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Grace from the council about our activities? Can you explain a little bit about that last thing that you talked about?
Well, there's an article in the Villager that does a very good job of explaining it. It's, if you don't know what cornhole, it's a beanbag toss type thing, event.
Okay.
And Paul is going to be in charge of it. So I guess we all need to come and find out what it's about.
Come and find out what it's about. Thank you, Grace. Are there any questions? Yes, Katie.
Did you have a date for the root beer float and movie night?
Yeah, it'll be, it's just a minute and I can find it.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it's a certain night, a certain Tuesday, but I can't remember which one.
It's June 18th.
Thank you.
June 18th. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the residents? Thank you, Grace. Our next report then is from Communications. Ed?
I think we've been asked in the past to state our names. We come up here for the people on TV. I'm Ed Currents. Paul was asked about telecoil reception in the SCRM. He's not been able to work on that because of other issues. Travis reported on the use of the app to convert SCRM microphone's input to closed captions on an online site. Quite a few residents, maybe 10, have signed up to use it. He's had a class to explain how to use it, but this had a low attendance. There are still problems in getting it to work right all the time. Administration is trying to decide the best way to make it more readily available to residents. iPhone and advanced iPad classes will be held in October and November. Travis was asked about the progress with installing fiber internet access, which is proceeding to higher numbered cottages. A number of cables have been installed, but connecting with residents who have village Wi-Fi is a slow step. It is hoped that 25 will be connected by June. Completion of this project, depending on funding, is several years away. And the other item I have is that we will not be meeting during the summer.
Are there any questions from the council members of Ed? From the residents? Thank you, Ed. So all the time we are working on improving our communications. Do we have a dining committee report? We received one, but I'm not sure we have anyone who will be reporting on that. I don't believe I have a copy of that. We'll ask Paul to do that when he gets back. Health services, do we have someone reporting for that? Thank you, Doris. Our health services chairman is always busy on Friday mornings, so that's why we have someone else. He is always taken up with other things.
The committee expedited the second admissions and accounting forum for the year 2019 on Monday, May 6th. Attending were 49 residents for the 4 one-hour sessions, and feedback was very positive. We will hold 2 more admissions and accounting forums this year in August and November. Thanks for Caring awards were presented to 2 employees. For February, the employee was Rebecca Osorio, a medical technician at Nunnenkamp for 3 years. And for May, it was Danica Sala, an AIL for 6 years. A certificate and a $25 check was presented for each of these employees. This was funded by the foundation. J. Dean Schmidt reported that the Health Care Center's 15th anniversary celebration held in the parking lot and garden level on May 3rd was a huge success. And I'm going to interject something into the report here. There will be a party at the health center next year. Be sure you come. It was a fantastic party. It was, I mean, there was bands, or a band, and there was food, and it was a lot of fun. How many people here attended the party? The council? Not many of you. The whole council should have been there. It was a wonderful party, and it gave you an opportunity to wander around the health center. So watch for it for next year and be sure you come. Jadine also reported that construction projects for the rest of the year are redecorating the healthcare center lobby and the garden level. The second floor will be done in 2020. Christy Gomez, Memory Care Program Manager, appealed for Friendship Village Tempe volunteers to help implement the second annual Friendship Village Tempe Employees Children's Day Camp to be held the week of June 3rd through 7th. That's this year. That's next week. Children 5 to 9 years of age are invited, and the goals are a week of fun at the healthcare center and intergenerational understanding. The health committee toured the redecorated Memory Care neighborhood. It was beautifully done. We were really impressed by the way they had improved that space. It was terrific. The next one is just to say that I will be delivering the report for the rest of the year. The committee will meet again in September. Everything around here shuts down for the summer. Respectfully, Richard Brown, Chairman. So are there any questions?
Any questions from the council? You are all awake, aren't you? Okay. How about from the
All right.
residents?
I'd like to see the hands of the people here who plan to attend the healthcare center presentation next year, the party. Who intends to? Now, don't forget it.
You've convinced us, Doris. Thank you. Our administration has arrived, and so we will, apparently it's Cole who will be reporting things. Cole.
Thank you, and my apologies for being late. Start off with our marketing and sales activity for the month of May. Right now, we have 6 sales on the board, 3 apartments, and 3 cottages. And I will tell you, we do not have a single cottage available for sale right now, nor do we have a single apartment for sale that would fall under Life Care. Any apartments that we currently have that are available fall within the area that we refer to as harm's way, and as such, they are only available for leasing. So, right now, as far as Life Care homes that we have available for sale, we have 0. So that's kind of a new frontier for Friendship Village. So if you see a marketing or salesperson, give them a high five. For the month, we have 4 move-ins or closings. Those go into 2 apartments and 2 cottages. So pretty decent move-in activity. We held 2 events in Skirm Auditorium last week, which were part of our priority depositing program. We meet with people who unbelievably have never been on the village's campus before. We always ask them for a show of hands in the audience. I think we met with about 55, almost 60 people total over the course of 2 events. Whole goal is to encourage them to put a $1,000 deposit down and be a part of our priority list as it relates to the apartment building that we are looking to build. Right now, we are up to about 60 priority depositors. That means they have a $1,000 fully refundable deposit down, and we are going to begin the process that we refer to as conversions. Conversions are where we sit down with them and we ask them to go from the $1,000 fully refundable deposit to a 10% deposit, which would mean they would select the style or floor plan of apartment as well as what floor it is on in the 4-story building. That will happen in mid-June. Our goal is to take from that list of 60-plus, walk away with at least 20 conversions, which would be effectively half of the apartments we're looking to build. So that is the next big step, and we hope that we walk away with at least 20. I want to let you know that Emily, Jadine, and myself will be headed to Denver, Colorado. We will be out of the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. We will be attending an annual business unit conference with a few other business units that we belong to within Life Care Services. And in particular, Emily and I will be speaking to the group about our resident satisfaction survey experience, the 99% response rate, as well as the high remarks that we got at the conclusion of the survey. So that is something we're looking forward to. And then last but not least, I want to acknowledge the event that happened here last Thursday where one of our residents, Tim Crowley, was arrested. I'm sure that most folks have heard about it, but I do believe there are still some that may not have heard about it. I have a memo that I've put together and will be putting in the mailbox of each residence that we have here, just to make sure that everybody has the information. And I'm going to read the memo real quick, just so that you know what it's going to say. It says, "Dear Friendship Village residents, it has been a difficult week for the village. As many of you may be aware, resident Tim Crowley was arrested last Thursday. At this point, we do not have much in the way of information or updates. I want to let you know that we are working to do what is best for everyone involved. However, if you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to myself and/or Emily. I have to believe some residents are having a difficult time dealing with this event. If so, I encourage you to reach out to some of our team members. Those people are our Social Services Director, Sue Lullo, Chaplains Jed Anderson and Peggy Peppers. Jed also has the names of resident ministers who have made themselves available for such conversations. Times like this test our mettle as individuals and the village as a whole. I am most confident that we all shall persevere through this challenging time and use this event to come together, galvanizing ourselves in the village in support of one another. Sincerely, Cole." So that will be in everybody's mailbox here later this afternoon.
Are there any questions from the council members for, we have one question here.
Cole, I'm trying desperately to sub for our fantastic secretary. Am I going to get reports from the people who are giving?
Yes, you get them from the committee chairman.
How about Cole's?
I could type something up and email it to you.
Thank you.
if that
I
would
would
help.
very much appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Cole.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cole, that will help a lot. It's
I get it.
difficult.
I talk quick.
It's hard it's very large shoes to fill. Sandy really is excellent, and it's hard to take that. Are there any questions? We have another question, Katie?
Cole, you had mentioned at this convention you're going to about presenting on the survey and the comments and all of that. Have those been just, I think that we all had expressed interest in finding out what the comments were. Do you have that for the residents also, or?
I think we normally put that in the village library. It's not? It's been in the library since we received it. So yes, it is in the village library. We put the full copy in a binder in the library.
Okay. Thank you.
You can find
there-
that
are
binder
there-
in the cabinets underneath the DVDs.
I'm sorry,
can-
I was
you can-
talking when you were talking.
Yeah. You can find the binder in the cabinets underneath where the DVDs are.
Thank you. Are there any questions, any other questions from the council? From the residents? We have one up here. Thank you, Cheryl.
Cole, have you secured funding for the new building so far?
No, that process happens after you secure the minimum requirement of 50%, 10% depositors.
Thank you.
Do you have a hopeful date for that?
You know, when you've got 60 people that you're going to work through, I would say we should know quite a bit more by, I would say, in and around the first week of July,
Oh, that soon.
second week of July, yeah. We'll know, for better or worse. We should have a pretty decent indication at that point.
But you will have an idea by then.
I would expect so.
Okay, thank you. We have another question, Ed?
Cole, you're trying to convert the $1,000 people to 10%. If someone does not convert, do they go off your list or after a certain period of time?
Yeah, I mean, effectively, when you reserved your priority spot, when you effectively gave us the $1,000 check, you reserved your spot in line. If you were the first person, you'll be the first person we talk to. And we will work our way through all 60, because we would take more than 20 if that's the case. If you choose not to convert at that point in time, we wouldn't simply delete you off the face of the earth. We would continue to reach out. We have ongoing resident engagement events, and so as we have more information, we'll continue to work with those folks because they've expressed interest. They may not be ready right now, so we know that. But generally, a lot of times, you know, the more information you give folks, the higher likelihood is that they would convert. So that would be an ongoing process. Really, the big goal is to get at least 20, which facilitates the funding and financing part of the project, which then facilitates the actual shovels in the dirt. And a lot of times, once people see a project's actually happening, that too may be something that calls them to action.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from anybody? Thank you, Cole.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
And our last committee report is from the Welcome Committee. Ron, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mrs. President, and council members. I'm Ron Newth, and my wife and I chair the Welcome Committee. And we don't stop in the summertime, even though we're full. They're still moving in, and we've got a lot of work to do. This past May 16th, we introduced 14 people to our village, and they are Beth Towner, Cliff Peterson, Dottie Furin, Lou Sanford, Santosh Gorawara, Irene DeMello, Mike Rhodes, Gracie Veach, Donna Fuson, Diana Peterson, Susan Rhodes, Bill Sanford, Bill Fuson, Elizabeth Schleifer. And the program this past month, the ones who are here, I'm sure enjoyed it. Dr. David Denyer, a resident here, who is a Mideast biblical archaeologist, and he talked about his field, digging around the Middle East, and he brought some artifacts with him, mostly pottery, some of them over 5,000 years old, and so quite an interesting presentation. Our next Welcome Coffee will be on the 20th of June, and probably going to have a bunch more to introduce at the coffee at that time. Thank you. Any questions?
Are there any questions from the council? From the residents? Thank you, Ron.
Okay.
I do want to mention that though we had a couple of people who were not here to make the report, they have turned in written reports, and they will be posted with the minutes in the alcove. We always post the minutes and the reports in the alcove, and some of you may not know that. I think we've put it in an article, but Sandy and I will talk about that. We want to remind people that they can go there to see the minutes and the reports if they've missed them or if you miss a meeting. I do not think there's any old business. Is there any new business? Bob, you know how to, you remember you have to hold you have to hold down the button on your microphone, and you have to get really close to it.
I wish to make a motion to amend the procedures manual to include under the duties of the Vice President the following. In January of each year, the Vice President shall prepare a detailed calendar of the major Residents Association events for that year. Obtain both the executive committees and the chair of the election committee's approval for it, and at the January council meeting, provide copies of the calendar of events to all council members and to appropriate members of the administration. The calendar of events shall, as a minimum, include the dates of the current year's council meetings, all major national and state holidays, the schedule for electing area representatives, the schedule of deadlines and other events for the annual association meeting, the schedule for nominating the candidates for next year's executive committee and for announcing those nominees, and finally, the date of next year's January council meetings. That's the motion.
Do I have a second for the motion? Someone needs to second it. Thank you, Doris. We can't talk about anything until we have a second. Bob, thank you very much for sending that to me ahead of time, because now I have made copies for all of our resident council members so that they can see that. I'm sure they didn't get everything. I have talked to our parliamentarian, Marty Whalen. He is recovering from surgery, so he was not able to be here. But he is requesting that a printed copy, which I have made, of the motion be distributed to the council members to give them time to review and understand the motion. And then we will present it again at the June meeting. Now, according to Robert's Rules of Order, I need to have a motion to postpone the discussion on this motion. Now, I know that sounds a little redundant, but we need to do that in order to put it off until June. Thank you. Ann has moved that we postpone this motion until June. Do I have a second? Thank you very much. I appreciate your doing that. Did you get that? Her name escapes me. Oh, she also, we had a second. We'll get it. Okay. This way, I am going to pass this out now. You can send those that way, and you can send those that way. And that way you can review what he has mentioned. And Marty promises to be here, Bob, on our meeting in June. He said he didn't think he should come with the medications he's taking today, besides he's not feeling up to it. But he will be here to give us advice on how to go about this and what those things might mean in the changes. So I really appreciate the fact that you sent me a copy of that ahead of time so that we all have this. Take it home, read it, study it, and then you'll have some way of knowing what we're talking about in June when we bring this up again. Do we have any other new business? I saw a hand in the audience.
Vote on the motion.
Oh, you changed your mind?
No, I said, you have a motion, but a second, you didn't vote.
We had a motion, oh, we didn't, you're right, we did not approve the motion to postpone. All those in favor of postponing the motion? Thank you, Max. We got to follow, I have Robert's rules right here, but I didn't think of that. Thank you. Is there anything else? Okay. I do want to remind you that to always read your villager and that there are videos, I believe, of the resident council meeting on your, it's, according to Sandy, they're in the resident council button as the videos button. So those of you who get on the internet and go to all these various things, you will be able to find that there. Is there any other business to come before our board today? As you leave and as we adjourn, remember that the early bird gets the worm, but it's the second mouse that gets the cheese. Thank you for coming. Thank you, somebody appreciate it.